It is Hows and Grows, and we are back with another draft prospect deep dive. And today we're talking about another popular pick around Timberwolves circles, and that's Baylor Scheierman, a 23-year-old hybrid wing with a quick trigger, a deadly stroke, and a surprising bag of secondary skills in his game. As you can see, he had a fantastic senior season with Creighton, ending his college career as the only player in NCAA history to record 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, 500 assists, and 300 made threes. And when you're thinking of Scheierman from an NBA perspective, you're thinking about that shooting ability. He's had a multifaceted game throughout his entire college career, but he's a thoroughbred shooter, and that's what makes him so appealing in an NBA that values shooters, especially ones with his size. Scheierman was the only player over 6'6" to shoot over 275 three-point shots in this past season, matching that enormous volume with a 38.1% conversion rate. For any team, he's going to have a weapon to use right away, and that's especially true for the Timberwolves, who struggled mightily at times with spacing and offense in general last season. There's a lot of guys around who can give you spot-up threes these days, but what Scheierman can inject into an offense is the ability to run actions specifically for movement shooting. That's something the Wolves have been sorely lacking in the past 2 seasons. The last time Minnesota had a shooter who could come off a variety of different screening actions, get his feet set, and then nail jumpers out of a dead sprint was 3 seasons ago when Malik Beasley was doing it for them. It's not a coincidence that the last time the Wolves finished with a top 10 offense was in that same season. That shooting versatility is so important in today's NBA, but it's also allowed Chris Finch and his coaching staff to open up their playbook and insert more structure around Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. If the Wolves were to draft Scheierman, that's the kind of thing they can reintroduce into their offensive diet. You see him coming out of Spain pick and roll on this possession. He's in the middle of the floor here as the high pick and roll takes place at the top. So when the roll man starts to dive to the rim, he flares out into the open space and catches the defense a second late on their switching, and then he's able to knock down deep threes with ease in those situations. On this next possession, he's going to start on the weak side block. His big man is going to come set that corner exit screen. His man is going to cheat over the top into the passing lane, and that means Scheierman can load up from his corner where he is an absolute moneymaker. There's just a bunch of different ways he gets his out of screening actions. This time he's setting the flex screen, then he rockets out of that off a pin down screen and straight into that jumper. Having a player who can put this much stress on a defense with their jumper can truly change how an offense functions, and I think Minnesota could really use someone who can do that around their star scorers. It's very rare that supreme shooting ability like this doesn't translate and add value at the next level, and for a team who just made the conference finals, this might be the on-the-margins boost that Minnesota needs. Now, the swing skills for Scheierman in the NBA are going to be how well his playmaking can translate and how much his genuine lack of athleticism is going to hold him back. When you mix his smart movement without the ball with his ability to see the floor and make smooth passing reads, there's certainly a little more juice to Scheierman's game than the average shooters. He maps the floor really well for someone his size, he has really nice touch on his passes, and he's super unselfish when passing lanes open up. In college, he was able to leverage his shooting ability and the defensive attention that it draws into open looks for his teammates. If he's the shooter that I expect him to be at the next level, it'll be interesting to see how much of that playmaking he can bring with him as well. So you see when he curls off these staggered pin downs, the defense is trying to shut off his ability to shoot, That leaves the rolling lane open for his big man, and you see that touch that Scheierman has on his lob passes. That's a real feature in his game, and something that would be handy to have alongside Rudy Gobert. Again, he's coming off those 2 pin downs here, and that threat forces the defender to jump out at him. That leaves this big chasm for the roll man to slip into, and Scheierman is going to find players when they're in space like that. When you add in that he averaged 9 boards a game and can easily kickstart early offense as the ball handler, you get a player who can make an impact as a playmaking weapon within an offense, especially one that already possesses other playmakers like Mike Conley and Anthony Edwards. The issue for Scheierman, and likely the reason he's perceived to have a lower ceiling than a lot of his draft class, is that he just doesn't have the quick burst or vertical athleticism to match the supreme athletes of the NBA. While he has great touch around the rim and on his passes, he's not going to be able to create advantages for himself consistently with his slow first step and lack of shiftiness with the ball. It's likely that he's going to be cast in the role of a knockdown movement shooter who can do some creating for others when advantages open themselves up for him, so he's certainly not reliant on that athleticism to tap into his greatest strengths, but he's going to struggle to generate self-created looks anywhere on the court, and that significantly lowers his ceiling. It's also going to be a hindrance on the defensive side of the ball. Again, Scheierman is a smart defender with enough size and bulk to hold his own physically, but NBA offenses are going to put him in actions and ask him to chase shooters or defend ball screens, and it seems like he's not going to have the foot speed to do it consistently well. What you see is what you get with Baylor Scheierman. I'd be surprised if he didn't turn out to be a deadly shooter at the next level, one with great size, who is capable of knocking down shots in any situation against any type of defender, and one who might even add some value into his game with his high basketball IQ and his ability to make great passing reads. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, he's the exact type of player that makes sense for them to slot right into a playoff-ready rotation. At pick 27 or 37, he might not be a high-ceiling prospect, but he could be an impact player right away. Thanks again for watching Howls and Rows. Please subscribe for more.